Most people watching the White Wings arc in Swallow Star see Luo Feng fail to claim the treasure and think that is just a temporary setback. He tried, he was not strong enough yet, he will come back later and get it. But what actually happens around that failure is one of the most consequential chains of events. Because what Luo Feng walks away with instead of the White Wings ends up changing the power balance of the human race completely. And it leads directly to the Huge Axe founder getting his hands on the most important weapon in the series. So what exactly happened, why the White Wings stopped him, what he found instead, and what the map he brought back meant for the Huge Axe founder? Let's start with why the White Wings actually stopped Luo Feng. The White Wings are stained with ancient divine blood, not residual energy, not a leftover cultivation imprint. Actual blood from an apex power of a destroyed civilization, a being whose strength was so far beyond normal true god level that even after countless eras of time passing, even after that being is completely gone, the blood still radiates. And that radiation is not physical damage, it is willpower pressure. A constant endless shockwave of pure willpower coming from a single bloodstain that has been sitting on those wings for eon. To claim the White Wings, a cultivator has to possess willpower that matches or surpasses what that bloodstain is putting out. The wings have an inner spirit, and that spirit will not submit to anything weaker than what left that mark on it. At this point in the Donghua, Luo Feng's willpower is already extraordinarily high for his cultivation level. He is not weak in this area. But the threshold the bloodstain requires is not just high, it is at a tier he has not reached yet. Luo Feng had to hide his main body inside the Star Tower just to physically approach them. The Star Tower, an indestructible God King tier treasure, absorbed the worst of the physical devastation from the environment around the wings. But the willpower shock pierced straight through the Star Tower anyway. A treasure that survived direct sector beast attacks, that is described as indestructible against true gods of void, and the spiritual willpower from that bloodstain went through it like it was not there. That tells you everything about what tier being left, that blood on those wings. Whatever civilization produced that apex power, they were operating at a level that makes everything else in the current era look like it is still developing. So Luo Feng cannot claim the wings yet. He needs over 1200 years of using the willpower pressure as brutal training to evolve his own willpower to the tier required. That process happens. He eventually comes back and claims them fully. That is future development. But the important part for today is what happens immediately after he realizes he cannot take the wings right now. He does not leave empty-handed. When he pulls back from the wings, he uses his position there to explore the immediate surroundings. And what he finds is a hidden spatial screen containing 3 items left behind by the ancient Apex expert who owned those wings. 3 items, each one significant in its own way. The first is a cyan token, an indestructible key that grants access to top-tier restricted treasure chambers hidden deep within the inner regions of the Universe Boat. The Universe Boat is already one of the most dangerous and most valuable locations in the entire Universe Ocean. The accessible outer regions are already filled with things that civilizations fight wars over. The inner regions are so dangerous that most factions cannot safely reach them regardless of how powerful their members are. The cyan token opens doors inside those inner regions that are otherwise completely inaccessible. That alone is worth almost any price. The second item is the Universe Boat Tactical Map. This one is harder to explain the significance of without proper context. The Universe Boat is millions of light years long, heavily damaged from ancient wars. Inside it are simulated worlds, burning toxic chambers, freezing voids, and environments that kill universe masters through passive exposure before they can even reach anything worth finding. Every major faction in the Universe Ocean has maps of portions of it, partial charts compiled through centuries of exploration, loss, and careful documentation. These maps are among the most guarded resources any faction possesses because they represent the blood price paid by the people who explored and died getting that information. What Luo Feng found was a map exponentially larger and more comprehensive than anything the entire human race or any other top faction previously had. Not slightly better, exponentially better. Hundreds of safe navigation paths through otherwise fatal spatial environments laid out in detail by the ancient expert who had spent their existence learning this place from the inside. When Luo Feng delivered it to the human faction, it did not just give them better navigation options. It shifted the entire power dynamic of who could safely access what inside the Universe Boat. The third item is the spatial coordinates for Jie Fanzi's outer region treasure vault. Jie Fanzi was a lone true god whose inheritance Luo Feng uncovers through this sequence of events. Before falling, Jie Fanzi stored his lifelong collection of resources and treasures in a hidden vault with coordinates that only someone finding this hidden spatial screen would ever access. That vault represented a true god's entire life's accumulation. Not a fraction of it, all of it. stored in one place and sitting there waiting for the right person to arrive with the right coordinates. 3 items. The key to the most restricted inner region treasure chambers. The most comprehensive navigation map of the universe boat in existence. And the exact location of a True God's complete personal treasure collection. Luo Feng failed to get the white wings that day and walked away with arguably more immediate value than the wings themselves would have provided. Now here is where the story gets genuinely interesting and why this moment matters, far beyond just what Luo Feng personally gained. The Universe Boat tactical map went to the human faction, and in the original novel, this map is the direct key to what happens next for the Hugh Jack's founder. This event ultimately led to his acquisition of the Divine Axe. I'll make a full video on how he got the Divine Axe and its impact on humanity. And what did the human faction give Luo Feng for bringing back the map that made this possible? 5,000 true treasure points. In the context of what items in this universe cost, that number is almost hard to process. It gave Luo Feng unprecedented buying power to upgrade his other gear and develop his clones in ways that had not been financially viable before. He failed to get the white wings, got 3 other things instead. One of those things led directly to the huge axe founder obtaining a supreme weapon that elevated him to peak tier 9 true god power, and got compensated with 5,000 true treasure points for the contribution. He never leaves a situation having gotten nothing. He approaches exploration with the understanding that every location, every failed attempt, every retreat from something too strong has potential value beyond the primary objective. He could not take the white wings that day, so he looked around instead. And what he found while looking around cascaded into consequences that changed humanity's military position in the universe ocean in ways that will matter for the rest of the story. The Hugh Jack's founder with the Divine Axe and the complete 15 axis technique is a fundamentally different threat than the Hugh Jack's founder without it. The races that had been calculating humanity's vulnerabilities had to redo those calculations completely after he came back from that hidden space with that weapon in hand. And all of it started with Luo Feng failing to claim a treasure and deciding to look around the area before leaving. That detail is such a small thing on the surface. In practice, it is one of the most consequential decisions in the entire arc. If you're enjoying this arc, you can follow for more. Do you think the map and the Divine Axe for the Huge Axe founder ended up being more valuable than the White Wings would have been if Luo Feng had just taken them that day?